CW23 presents See What's Now, your entertainment news source.
Hey Twin Cities, it's John Foss with CW23. Today I'm very excited to be joined by Kurt Russell, who's talking about his new film, The Battered Bastards of Baseball. Kurt, thank you very much for being with us.
John, how are you?
Good. Let me first start by saying, loved the film.
I did too. I'm glad you did, and others have felt the same way. It's just was amazing to see what my two nephews, who had never done a film of any kind before, put together and find the stuff in the archives that they found to be able to do it, and the story that was right in front of everybody. I never really saw it myself, I suppose partially because I was living it, and so was my father. But I think it took some distance, a generation of being removed from the story, to be able to see what was a pretty special story.
Yeah. Could you tell our viewers that haven't had the chance to see it yet what it's about?
What it truly is about is David versus Goliath, and my father tried to create and did create a very successful independent minor league baseball team, a team that was made up of players that the major leagues had passed on for one reason or another or hadn't picked up on. My dad was a tremendous reader of ball players, and he knew he could put together a club that could compete. So when the Portland territory opened up, he called me. I was actually playing in El Paso, Texas at the time in the Angels organization, and playing AA ball. And so this was a chance for him to create this independent team. He asked me what I thought, and I said, you know a lot of good players, and I also, his background in business, he was a Dartmouth grad, and he'd been sheriff Clem on Bonanza for 13 amongst 725 other things he did, movies and television. He knew how to create entertainment. He put those three elements together, but most of all, he knew baseball. And when he did, and when he created what he created, and they just wanted to come back in and take it over, he fought them, and that was really, I think, what my nephews found to be the true story and the true interesting story of not just the Mavs, but what happened in my father's life. And I'm very, very proud of them for doing it. It's a wild ride that now is getting its play, and Netflix has picked it up, so it's on Netflix, so people can see it. It's having its week run to be qualified for Academy Awards, and it's gotten great reviews everywhere. So I'm proud of them, and on a personal level, it was pretty great to see it.
So how many years were you on the team, and what's your baseball background?
I never was on the. I mean, I can't say I never was. I played on that team when I was injured. I went down there for like 6 weeks one time and played for them as a designated hitter. But I was on the other side most of the time. It was my dad and I talking about what we could do to make this ball club competitive and make it win, how we could best work with City Hall, work all the politics of the area, and how we could, what would give us the best chance for success on and off the field. This was completely my dad's team. I was just a peripheral part of it as a co-owner. This was the thing that my dad created, that he took on Major League Baseball with, and he didn't like it because he succeeded. He wasn't supposed to succeed. He wasn't supposed to win. He wasn't supposed to win. He wasn't supposed to be able to find players that had been passed over, picked over. And these guys had an axe to grind. They wanted to show these other guys they could play.
Yeah, and this team is great. One of the best parts that I thought was just hilarious is that the Bat Boy was kicked out of a game once, and there's just a lot of great stories like that. Can you kind of tell me about some of that stuff? Well,
that's that's what the whole show is about, is the complete some of the behavior from people that in baseball stories. It's some pretty good lore there. That guy, in fact, Todd Field, went on. We had a great relationship with my dad. He was just an 11-year-old kid, but he went on to become a very successful director, nominated for Academy Awards for In the Bedroom and To Little Children, amongst other things. And he is now in talks about taking this further with Netflix and perhaps doing something over a number of seasons on television, or doing a motion picture with it. But anyway, this is stuff we're getting into now because this Battered Bastards of Baseball has really generated a lot of interest.
Yeah, and it seems like it kind of changed the game. In high school, I worked for an independent team, the Sioux City Explorers, and I didn't know that this team kind of made it possible for these independent teams to exist.
It didn't kind of make it possible. It created the opportunity. You got to work in a very unique situation because it did not exist before 1973. It didn't exist for 39 years before 1973. When my dad played ball, much earlier in the 40s, 50s, that era, there were a lot of independent teams. That just went by the wayside, and then Major League Baseball ran the whole thing. So this was an opportunity to go back to the past, and it became the future. So I mean, there are now many leagues, many independent teams. They can all thank Bing Russell.
All right. Well, Kurt Russell, thank you for being with us.
All right. Take care.
And Twin Cities, make sure you go to Netflix to check out The Battered Bastards of Baseball, streaming now.